morning, geeks and gamers. Welcome to another episode of Geeks and Gamers Daily. I am one of your co-hosts, and I am not Ryan. I am Jeremy, but we do have Ryan here today. Hi, Ryan. How was your weekend?
It was
Filled
great.
with positivity?
Even though the writer's strike is officially over and done, clearly we still don't have ours back, which is why Jeremy's still ad-libbing these intros. I am one of your co-hosts, and I am not Ryan.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to get the team of 14 writers back just from me. Ryan has 12. I have 14 because he's a little bit better at this. So I needed the 14, but I can't wait to get mine back so that I can actually do my job again. Shout out to Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel and the rest of the clowns for being able to do your job now because you have writers. My God, how embarrassing these fucking freaks are, man. Unbelievable.
It's pretty wild. And obviously there's probably some that they would have got blasted if they tried to do it without, just like we saw with Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher or anyone else. But the simple idea that these guys can't just go out there and joke around for like 10 minutes, I know. Do an opening monologue, just fuck around, just mention some things, just do a little stand-up bit. It's pretty wild that you need a team of 20 writers or something to be able to do that each and every day.
Yeah. Hayden says, Jeremy, I'll make a video when the writers are allowed to work again. Gremlin started us out with a $200 super chat. Holy crap. Swig of water for
so big that it's like cutting.
I know. It's like the super chat's like taking over the whole screen, and rightfully so. Gremlin for $200 says, swig of water to my 96-year-old grandma. She passed away this morning. She sends this advice to the world. One of the keys of life, of long life, is to never stop moving. Also told her pastor, I hate to sound selfish, but can you ask God to speed this along? I got people to say hi to. She was a trip. Well, Gremlin, obviously thoughts and prayers, and it sounds like your grandmother had a long, wonderful, fulfilling life, and that is the best part of that. 96-year-old, that's a hell of a life right there. 96, and sounds like she was cool as hell. So thank you so much. And the chat is there to offer their thoughts and prayers as well. Sounds like he had a cool ass grandma. So that is
R.I.P. to grandma, but that's a incredible life for sure.
Yes, absolutely, and that's all you can really ask.
Nearly that long.
No, Ryan. I don't know if Ryan will make it to 45. Like, what do you think, Ryan?
45? That's a little over 10 years. It's gonna be a no. It's going to be a no.
Ryan doesn't have very much expectation here, ladies and gentlemen. The puller, J Bowman, it wasn't me, Jeremy. We will be discussing that a lot on CobraCast. We will be discussing that a lot. And there is Hail, the same account. Doug B with the 199. What's up, Dougie B in the
Templar
house?
Knight
That's
profile
right.
picture.
Dougie B in the house. Good to see you.
Look how much more badass that is, that picture, than if it was just like D. Just like just a D with a fucking blue background. Come on.
Oh no, Ryan's already starting that.
I'm just saying.
Ryan's already starting in. I mean, I can appreciate it. It's been a while. Blake says, Jeremy, I enjoyed the interview last week on Side Scrollers. Learned a few things. Hail the 199. Yeah, I had fun. Craig is a good interviewer. He really is. He's really good and I had a lot of fun with that. And I'm sure I gave some different perspectives on things. So that was really cool. Axel Jensen says, woohoo! It's Monday morning. Time for my favorite tropical news show. Thank you. One of me misreading a super chat again. It's supposed to say topical, and I said tropical, Ryan. That was last week. The Real Smile Bit drops 10 gifted memberships, and Hayden Wayne is letting Ryan know. He is like, no, bro. Look, Hayden's one of the most well-known members, okay? And everybody knows Hayden, and he's got the Alphabet Alliance rocking. So what do you say to that, Ryan?
I think the only cool thing about Hayden's Alphabet Alliance profile picture is that when he sends around $20, it matches the color. That's the only. Other than that, it just looks lazy as shit, if I'm being honest with you. But Aiden's got enough of personality to be remembered despite his dog shit profile picture.
Jay Saggy, orangutan titties. Gig 'em, hail all. Happy Monday and cheers on Monday Night Football. See y'all later on Mario Kart, and thanks for the entertainment. Absolutely. Yes, it was a good weekend of football. Ryan's Bears. God damn, man. Your Bears, bro. What is going on with your Bears?
I'm happy they lost, to be honest.
I know you are.
I'm all in on let's go 0-17. Let's just all these fucking retarded people who thought Justin Fields is going to be so incredible this year. One, I'm pretty sure I could go 15 for 15 for like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against that Denver defense. But eventually, thankfully, Justin Fields came back to his senses and showed everybody the true quarterback that he is. And they lost. So
Crispy Noken says another new week with my daily live streams. Hail the 199. Take a swig for the working man. Hey, I got a Yeti. I got me a Yeti, so it keeps my water cold. So I'm okay with that. Ryan, what's our first topic of the day?
I got me a Yeti. There you go. We might as well talk about. Listen, we got Disney Star Wars news. Disney Star Wars news. Ahsoka is here, but unfortunately the ratings aren't very good. And this weekend was just full of disappointments for Disney Star Wars, because not only did we find out that when the official ratings came in, the Nielsen ratings came out for Ahsoka, that it was a massive drop off, a huge disappointment, fell completely out of the top 10. But also on Saturday, Jeremy, it was the end of an era. At least according to some websites, the end of an era. The final voyage of Disney's Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser comes to an end. I don't know if 18 months is long enough to be considered an era.
Yeah.
But because that's all it lasted. It only lasted about a year and a half before it got shut down and cost Disney about $300 million. Does this qualify as the end of an era?
It absolutely does not, but I do think that this is a perfect example of what Disney Star Wars, the failure of Disney Star Wars. The fact that something that had this much money poured into it at the most visited place in the world, Walt Disney World, and it failed so miserably. Every single person, when Disney bought Star Wars, I just felt like, holy shit, man. My biggest thing was, obviously the first thought was the movies and what the potential with the movies would be. But the second thing, and almost equal for me, was what are they going to do at the theme parks? What are they going to do at the theme parks with Star Wars? And this right here is it just kind of brings it all into perspective as to how big of a failure this truly has been. And I'm not sure that the Galactic Star Cruiser was ever going to be successful. Even if Star Wars was operating on a good level with the movies, the cost involved with it, the structure, everything about it, I'm not sure it was ever going to succeed, but it certainly was never going to succeed under the current Disney Star Wars. But yeah, this is not an era or anything like that. This was just a failure, and it was always a failure. The end of an era would be something that had success, had a legacy, and then maybe some decisions were made, and maybe it went in the wrong direction, and ultimately it had to be shut down. This never had a legacy. This never had anything. So no, this is not an end of an era.
There certainly are, even if you're right, even if everything was great with Star Wars, there would be certain logistical things that are just, is this really a good idea? If your business model is so focused on, getting people to stay there for 48 hours, only having a couple hundred spots available, needing a really good percentage of staff manning it as well because of all the interactivity and all that stuff. If you need this thing to be 75% full, that's your profit margins, you're always going to have some trouble. But with all that being said, they decided to put it in the worst possible era for Star Wars between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. The point in time where fewer people are interested in it than anything else. It could have just been a whole Star Wars experience. It didn't need to be in a timeline of any sort. You could have had things from the prequels. You could have had things from the original trilogy, and even thrown in some stuff from the sequels. Just stuff for all Star Wars fans to go and enjoy and, kind of maybe make their own adventure. Instead, you had to be here at this time, here at this time, here at this time, and it didn't feel like Star Wars. It didn't have any characters for Star Wars that a lot of people were interested in. And it was just a complete and total failure. Hundreds of millions of dollars flushed down the toilet for Disney Star Wars. And this is all coming on the same weekend that we realized that, yes, indeed, Ahsoka ratings, not that great. This show that they went all in on in its second week of release wasn't even in the top 10 in streaming. Not even in the top 10. Look at this. Getting beat by, Big Bang Theory, SWAT, Coco Melon. You're not invited to my bar mitzvah. NCIS, Grey's Anatomy, Bluey. Who is Aaron Carter? One Piece. And, of course, Suits. You got to go to original programming. Ahsoka's 5th in originals. Had about a 50% drop-off from that first week. Again, kind of expected because not as many episodes were released, but it's a worse fall-off than we've seen from a lot of other Disney Star Wars shows. And it just confirms that Ahsoka is not this game changer that they really were hoping it would be. In fact, it's drawing less interest than a lot of other things they put out on Disney Plus.
And it was never going to be. It was never, ever, ever going to be what they wanted it to be. And all that took was self-awareness to understand that. And I feel like a broken record at this point in time to just continue to say, like, Ahsoka was never supposed to be the character that leads the entire franchise. They wanted her to be, but the reality told you that is not who she should be. She should never be that. She never was going to be that. And there's been never any indication to show you that she would be that. She's been a very popular character within the small group of people that have enjoyed the Clone Wars and Rebels. And that's fine. That doesn't take away from anything. There's nothing wrong with being a popular character within a small group of, within a small group of people, within full context of the bigger franchise. Obviously, that's much more popular. But to elevate her to try to become this thing that, first of all, being alive at a time frame or a timeline she shouldn't be alive in, and then trying to carry the banner of something that she was never equipped to be, it was never going to work. You can't just force these things. You can't just, it has to happen because the audience wants it. And the audience has never shown that Ahsoka should be this type of character. This is just nonsense, man. It's nonsense. And now, like, dude, listen, I'm surprised for many reasons. All right. And I am not really the one to kind of get into people's personal lives, but those pictures of Dave Filoni's old lady that are going around, is that real, Ryan?
Yeah, like Dave Filoni's wife is super woke. She's a writer.
Psychopath.
She is. But at the same time, I don't feel like there's really any need to bring in someone's wife who's not really. To be fair,
I agree.
But she did write a couple episodes of Clone Wars, like 2 of them, I think, way back in the day.
Yes.
But personally, guess what? I have enough ammunition about what Dave Filoni does as a writer and what all these people do with the actual stuff that they're involved in that I don't really feel the need to go after their wife with a couple thousand followers on Instagram. I don't think that that's necessary. I think the work speaks for itself, to be quite honest with you. Because I think that's opening a whole fucking can of worms.
Oh, 100%. I was just saying, like, the fact that he's married. I didn't even know he's married. I honestly didn't even know. I didn't know.
I've known for a long time. I've always assumed that she's just a beard and that they both fucked the dog.
I didn't know. I was like, wait, he's married? Yes, exactly, chat. That was my takeaway from it, is I couldn't believe that he
married to a woman.
Married.
Yes.
But
I don't need to attack Dave Filoni's wife to show that he's a fucking woke feminist. That's what he is. That's what he always has been. You can see it come through in the shows that he produces. You can see it when he's out there speaking to women's groups. You can see it in what he says behind the scenes at Lucasfilm and The Rise of Skywalker.
But would you say that? But would you say that the Clone Wars was woke feminist garbage?
I don't think that the Clone Wars solely, but I think when you start to look at when you take that in combination with Rebels. Right. And you start to see, wow,
Rebels was more, there were more elements that you would show in Rebels for sure. Right. You could see some of the beginning pieces to that puzzle in Rebels for sure. I don't think there's anything in Clone Wars that would lead you to believe that was the case. But in Rebels, 100% that there's a lot. A lot. There's some evidence that that's the direction it's going in Rebels. Some.
Yeah. When you start to see kind of, you know, in some of the later seasons of Clone Wars, the focus on Ventress a little bit and kind of trying to make her into this, you know, strong female who had to leave for this and was kind of victim of like, I didn't like some of the ways they decided to portray Ventress towards the end and what they've done with her in Disney canon and stuff like that. Because that was a character that existed before that they decided to adapt in the Clone Wars and things like that. But I think when you start to combine that with things when Dave Filoni is free and has his own willpower to do whatever he wants, like Rebels, you start to see what we've seen.
Well, I'd say I would say just pretty much anything without George Lucas involved. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it comes down to. Without George, I don't know what it is. It's almost like the comparison of George Lucas's Star Wars or Star Wars with George Lucas and without it. I think we were talking about this when there was the rumors, or not the rumors, but there was reports coming out that Phil Spencer and Microsoft Xbox were talking about buying Nintendo, and we're talking about like there's love Nintendo, hate Nintendo, whatever. There's something different about Nintendo being involved in their games with their systems. There's just a magic formula that is a blessing and a curse. And I think the same thing applies to George Lucas when he's involved with Star Wars. You can tell when there's a Lucas Star Wars and when there's not Lucas Star Wars. You can have problems with the Lucas Star Wars, but there's something different when George Lucas's fingerprints and his decision making is involved in it. And I think that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest gap right there in it. And what we're seeing with Filoni is without George guiding him and being there to oversee stuff, he is a woke feminist propaganda filmmaker. He just is. That's just clear as day right there.
Yeah.
Now I haven't seen Ahsoka, but I've heard it from the outside looking in. It looks like, I don't know if it's like to that level. How woke is Ahsoka, the show? How woke is it?
So one of the things you're left with are a lot of the characters are just women, right? And that's what you had your famous reaction when we did an Ahsoka trailer reaction.
Yeah, every
you talking about all the women.
A woman.
But to be fair, if you're gonna do this story, Rebels season 5, basically, well, Ezra's missing, Thrawn's missing, Kanan's fucking dead. So you're kind of left with a lot of women, that are involved in the story. Yeah. But at the same time, the way that, say, Hera interacts with people, especially the villainous male senator, and the type of language she uses, there's a lot of intersectional feminism when you look at the storytelling of Ahsoka. More than anything, I think two things. People are having problems connecting to these characters because they don't know why they should care about them if they didn't watch Rebels or Clone Wars. And two, it doesn't seem like much is happening through 7 episodes so far. And to be honest, as much as people may have, jerked off to the Anakin episode, I think people at this point are like, I guess that was cool, but man, it would have been nice to see some more plot advancement or something happen instead of just this thing where Ahsoka, deals with her own inner demons again about Anakin,
Yeah. I know some people are like, well, wasn't George on the set of like Ahsoka and all that? Yeah, him being on the set of shows
No.
Nothing,
George wasn't on the set of Mandalorian when Ahsoka made her premiere.
When Ahsoka was there. But even still, him being on the set of anything, it doesn't, that's a different animal with George having full creative control. Or just being on the set so they can have him on there to pretend that they care what he thinks.
George was on the set of Force Awakens. George was on the set of Solo, a Star Wars story. You think that that's, George Lucas's this stamp of fucking approval? What do you think he did it because Ron Howard's a friend and he knows Ron Howard? And he's like, of course I'll come and check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Filoni, Jon Favreau, invite George Lucas. Hey, George, do you want to see all this technology that you dreamed about, that you had in your mind, that we've finally been able to make into a thing with the volume, like the way that George wanted to film all this stuff in the first place? You want to see that come to fruition? Yeah, sure, I'll come by. That doesn't mean that he's stamping his approval on everything. We know what he thought about Force Awakens, when he came out and said, obviously it's going in a different direction and blah, 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 blah. And since then, he's continued to make statements about Disney Star Wars not being his Star Wars.
Gary says intersectional, not woke, talking about Ahsoka. Lord of the Ree on Rumble for 2 says, hail the Snake Pit, the 199, and all my white bread as Nugas. Had to say that one carefully. St. Bowser, Ryan, have you tried to watch any of the anime DVDs you've been sent?
I have not yet. I've not got to it. I've got sent 3 different things now that I have. So I have a lot of watching to do. Actually, I guess I can put it in my PlayStation.
Let's see here. We've got Weird Man Productions says, always thought I could change your mind, Jeremy, on the Snyderverse. Still do. But after that interview with Stuttering Craig, I understand a bit more as a bit more why the heightened Snyder hate. Dude pulled a dick move. Well, so again, I don't hate the Snyderverse because of the Snyder interview. I've always hated the Snyderverse.
Yeah, I hated it before that.
I've always hated it. I've never liked those movies. So the whole Snyder thing had nothing to do with my opinion.
And you said it to
movies.
Zach's face too.
Yes, I
when we talked to him before that happened.
Yes,
you let him know. He's like, "That's cool, man."
Yeah, he was cool with it. And so but I did that during that interview I kind of talked more about it, because that's obviously anytime I do an interview, that's a big topic that people want to discuss. But yeah, so my opinions of his movies have nothing, because I still very much think Watchmen is a fucking phenomenal movie, and I still think that Dawn of the Dead is a phenomenal movie. So none of that has changed my opinion on what I think about those movies, but I'm never gonna like those movies. I fucking hate them. Ellie Reen, gonna waste my membership chat to say Bean Sabine, Bean Sabine, Bean Sabine, Bean Sabine. That's all I can think about when I hear Ahsoka. Bean Sabine. Thank you, Ellie Reen. How the hell are you? Wood Chippy says 300 is the greatest film ever made, and I still hate Snyder. 300 is not the greatest film ever made. At least, I mean, not
300 is a badass film.
I think it's okay. It's fine. I don't personally like it, but I can appreciate what it did for like visual storytelling. It definitely changed the game. I mean, I think the greatest film ever made is Return to Life. I think Return of the King is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, I wouldn't put 300 in the greatest movie ever made. Yeah. It's badass. I loved it when it came out.
Yeah, I think Return of the King is probably the greatest movie ever made. Tobias Nexus finally done with reception desk. The worst part of my job is taken by a full-timer for it. Also, Ryan, judging people's profile pictures is great. Well, you got to judge his. So there you go, Ryan.
You're Tobias. A fucking furry.
He's got a profile picture.
Right. Well,
you can't complain.
Listen, well, I can complain if you're exposing your degeneracy. Like, what do you mean? Look at that. Looks like you want to fuck that thing, Tobias. And maybe that's the character. I don't know. Tobias Nexus is some furry anime freak or something. Like, I don't know.
Hayden Wayne, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure an era has to go over 1 year at the very least.
Well, to be fair, it lasted 18 months. So after a year, it got announced that they were closing it, though.
Yeah. What a disaster. Disney Star Wars is just a complete and total disaster on every level. How anybody can still defend Disney Star Wars, I don't know. I don't understand it. But I mean, more power to you if you're into that. I just can't understand how anybody could find any, like, I don't know how anyone that loves George Lucas's Star Wars, I don't know how you're finding enjoyment from Disney Star Wars as a whole. There might be little things that you've enjoyed here and there, but as a whole, the entirety of it, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah, so I think there's things that you can, pick out and enjoy, whether it's a character that you care about or a cool lightsaber action. Not that there's been a lot of them, but seeing Hayden come back, I think that was a cool thing. It was
cool in
like,
Obi-Wan.
From the outside looking in, right? It's like, that's cool. And seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff, how excited he was, and even him and like the stuff for Obi-Wan, even though Obi-Wan was a dumpster fire, seeing these interviews with him and Ewan talking about their history together, talking about their times in the prequels and stuff like that is cool and interesting. There's some people that can get invested in seeing what they're able to do with the volume, seeing what they're able to do, bringing some of the practical effects into Star Wars, like they've tried to do with some aspects of The Mandalorian. But all in all, you need to really reach for those things to find any enjoyment out of that. And then when you step back and look at it, you realize, wow, this is really fucking dead.
Yeah. It's I mean, because again, there's certain things like I enjoyed some of The Mandalorian. Obviously enjoyed season 7 of the Clone Wars. I am I guess a little like the first few episodes of Andor, which again I still never went back and finished it.
Yeah, you were all about those first 3 episodes.
I don't know if I was
another.
I don't know if I was all about it. I just said that there was enough world building in that made me interested. The characters still didn't do anything for me, but there was enough world building that left me interested. But I don't know. It's just not good. Disney Star Wars is just not good. Vadering.
He Vadered.
Justin Proper says, I love the Cobra Kai shirt. It's not a Cobra Kai shirt. This is a Don't Tread on Me Cobra Snake for the Cobra Cast channel. Or the D-Day Cobra Cast show. What up, Justin Proper? All right.
Tyrant Lizard King, member for 6 months, says Valiant Renegade revealed some pics last night of Filoni's wife. She had a shirt that said abortion is healthcare and a mug that says drink coffee, hail Satan. Well, if by revealed you mean showed the pictures that everyone's been talking about for the past several days that have gone viral on Twitter, I guess maybe. Like I said, I've been a Dave Filoni hater for a decade and a half now, and I don't need to. I don't know. I don't feel the need to go after his wife to prove that he's a woke feminist. Like he just is. You can tell from his content. You can tell from everything he says. You can tell from his history, and he's got a lot of stuff out there. So
I'm just surprised he's married. So I had no idea. I had no idea he was married.
There's some pictures. He's got dogs, obviously. So the pictures I found funnier from some of the stuff that's out there is Dave Filoni and the dog. And I'm just like looking at that dog and thinking of what he's seen or what he's been through. Rob Morgan, member for 2 months. Scientists discovered birds in Democratic states were found flying upside down. Baffled, the scientists concluding there was nothing worth shitting on. There you go. Thank you, Rob. David Cushmore for 5. Should Disney give back Star Wars to Fox? Are you looking forward for tomorrow night, episode 8 of Ahsoka? Well, considering Fox is owned by Disney, I'm not sure what that'll do. At least that wing of Fox.
Can I make a statement? It doesn't matter who has Star Wars. It's dead. It doesn't matter. It's dead. Without George Lucas, it's dead. It will never be what we want it to be and what it was under George. It just won't. And that's the cold hard truth of it all. It's never coming back. Go ahead, Ryan. You
I don't
agree
remember
or
what I was
disagree?
gonna say, but yeah, obviously Disney bought the movie side of Fox and the content side of Fox. Obviously, Fox Sports and Fox News, those are still different entities, but they can't really sell it back to people that they own.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am looking forward to Ahsoka tomorrow night because it'll be over. To be honest, I am looking forward to the fact that it's the final episode. Not because I think anything interesting will happen in it.
But holy fuck says Jeremy will be raving if Nolan wanted Star Wars. I have literally said more times than I could count that I want Christopher Nolan nowhere near Star Wars. So no, holy fuck, I wouldn't. I don't want Nolan anywhere near Star. I don't think it's a good fit. I don't know there's no scenario where I'd see Christopher Nolan like being good for Star Wars, unless you're talking about a one-off kind of like underground kind of movie, like, but not like just the greater Star Wars universe. No, that wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, like I guess I don't know. I guess it would depend on what Christopher Nolan's approach wanted to be. If he wanted to make it his own, or if he really did want to exist within this George Lucas type of universe. I remember an interview actually from there's this discussion between George Lucas and Chris Nolan that's very interesting.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
I don't know, like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that.
Talking about Nolan's Star Wars' influence on Nolan.
Yeah.
I think Nolan would be better suited for something like Star Trek than Star Wars. Like I think that would work a lot better for Nolan and the way he likes to tell stories. Again, I think he's the greatest filmmaker on the planet. I don't think anybody's even fucking close. I just don't think he's good for Star Wars, or he would be good for Star Wars because of the way he does things. But I would love to be proven wrong.
I've also seen it's been in like my algorithm for some reason. David Prowse, is that the guy who played Vader?
David Prowse, yep.
There's like it's really funny interview of him going around and explaining why they wanted James Earl Jones to do the voice. Pretty good. You can tell it's an interview from like this late 70s, early 80s.
I know what that means.
Tobias Nexus for 5. Nintendo's been around since 1889. 1889?
Yes.
So like
as
140 years.
Oh yeah.
They made playing cards and such well before they ever got into tech. 1974 with being a distributor first.
That is true. He is correct.
Lord Baratheon for 5. Did you guys see apparently Loki season 2 embargo list today for critics? Do you guys think it'll be positive or negative given the current MCU? I think the critics will love it.
Yeah.
I think that it'll actually probably be a little more well received than most of the other Disney MCU shows. I didn't think the first Loki was very good. I think a lot of people like the character and the actor, but I don't think the whole story when it was all said and done was very good. I'm going to be interested to see the ratings. I want to see the number of people that tune in from Samba TV wise, because Loki season 1 by far has been like the most watched thing in terms of households on Disney Plus. 2.5 million households tuned in over the first 3 or 4 days, whatever that was. I think the next closest Marvel thing was like 1.7 million households, maybe like WandaVision or Falcon Winter Soldier, something like that. So if Loki season 2 is a significant drop off from season 1, that's going to be very informative, I think.
Yep. Real quick, because now we're at peak viewership. Gremlin sent this at the beginning of the show, right before we went live. I just wanted $200 swig of water for my 96-year-old grandma. She passed away this morning. She sends this advice to the world. One of the keys of long life is to never stop moving. Also told her pastor, I hate to sound selfish, but can you ask God to speed this along? I got people to say hi to. She was a trip. So shout out again to Gremlin for that massive super chat, and thoughts and prayers to you, brother. So you and your family. Sounds like you guys are looking at it in a good, positive way for sure. 96, hell of a life right there. Hell of a life.
That's right. Well, speaking of Marvel, I guess we should talk about the newest news that came out as soon as the writer's strike ended. There hasn't been a lot of positivity surrounding Marvel over the past few years. You know, we just recently learned that, contrary to some reports that were out there of the Marvel's budget being very low, it's in fact one of the biggest we've ever seen in MCU history. It was Brie Larson's birthday yesterday, October 1st, but unfortunately, that might be the only positive news she has for the next several weeks, because it looks like the Marvels is set to be another flop for them. But the media has even already been forced to admit that the MCU's had problems. They, the ones who've been shilling for this thing and covering for them for the past several years, even they, in the aftermath of Secret Invasion, are trying to course correct and be, they've actually had problems for quite some time. It didn't just start now. Yeah, no shit. It's like we've been saying that for forever. Well, now, Jeremy, maybe this will turn things around. Marvel Studios execs, I'm meeting soon to hear writers' pitches for the coveted X-Men job. So they're going to meet soon with writers to pitch an X-Men movie. They won't make a decision on that till 2024, which means we won't see the X-Men movie till, 2027, 2028. At that point, I think it might be too late for the MCU. I don't know if there's going to be any fans around to get excited for an X-Men movie coming out, 3 or 4 years from now.
Jeez. I don't understand what they're doing here, but yeah, obviously X-Men is one of the flagship properties of the entire Marvel Comics universe. Well, at least it was. It's I don't know if it has the same, especially with all the stuff that we've heard from how they want to, I guess X-Men is offensive in some circles of the Marvel Comics universe and the Marvel Executives universe.
Remember Victoria Alonso got fired.
Yeah, Victoria Alonso, who got fired.
Yeah.
She said that they need to rethink the X-Men name to make it more inclusive. And so I don't know, man. I don't know what direction you take this in right now. When's Deadpool 3 coming out?
Well, once the actors' strike is officially over, they're going to start start filming again. So probably, I think they would hope sometime later half of next year would be the earliest you could imagine that coming out. But I don't remember exactly when they shifted the release date to.
And then in theory, what you would want is an X-Men movie to come out, the next year to capitalize off of that momentum that you have. Obviously, I think they're probably going to go in an all new direction from casting standpoint, but you could still have, cameos or whatever, from some of the legacy characters. What is this? Do we know what their whole idea is here to carry? Are they going to go full on new cast or what?
Well, I think they would have to, but here's the thing. Don't you think you should have this planned out before you're hearing writers' pitches? Don't you think you should have this planned out so that you have an idea of what's going to happen after the Deadpool movie? To me, we know the Deadpool movie. We know Hugh Jackman's in it. We know a bunch of other of these Fox era superheroes, including X-Men, are going to be in it. It's going to kind of be like the death of the Fox universe. It's what it sounds like to a lot of people. In reality, this should be the perfect opportunity for them, for Deadpool to do some wacky, weird shit. And at the end of this, you almost reveal your new X-Men. The Deadpool's done something to the timeline, and you reveal your new MCU X-Men. And this is what they really should have been working towards for a while now. As soon as they got the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, they should have got those out there quickly. But instead, what did they want to focus on? They wanted to do She-Hulk. They wanted to do Ironheart. They wanted to do Miss Marvel. They wanted to do the Marvels movie. They wanted to focus on all this shit that people were not asking for, that people won't get excited for, that people don't want. And now here we are, an MCU that's been weaker than it ever has been at any point in recent memory, that no one's excited for. The fans are walking away. No one's going to see these things in theaters. And now the thing that could get people excited, you're not letting everybody know, by the way, we didn't really have any plans to implement them, and this is at least 3 years away.
Yep. What I mean, this is just unbelievable that they're going to miss the mark on this. Again, the MCU is in such a strange place right now, and you would think they would be desperate to try to do something with X-Men, but in reality, they're just being really, really low key, whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. Okay, go for it. I just think Ryan's right. By the time it gets here, 2026, 2027, whatever it's going to be, the momentum's going to be gone for anything that they could be doing. How long have people waited for the X-Men to be part of the MCU, man? This has been a long time coming that people have wanted this. And now they're just treating it like, no big deal. Who cares? So whatever, MCU, continue to die. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I actually want to go back and watch the X-Men movies, though, man. I enjoyed obviously X-Men 1, X2 was fantastic. 3 was a disaster. What was the next one? Was Days of Future Past the next one? Like the official X-Men?
No. So it would have, so X 1, 2, and 3, and then you had First Class.
Yeah, First Class. Was that before Days of Future Past?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, because they had the new characters.
Yeah,
right. Okay, yeah. And then Days of Future Past kind of rebooted everything.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and so I did like Days of Future Past. Again, it's been so long since I saw those movies, though. I would like to revisit them because I'd like to see how I feel about them now. I'm not sure I would watch X-Men 3 again, though. I don't think I would even waste my time with X-Men 3. JB says, haven't seen any. You haven't seen any of the X-Men films? Man, they're so good. First Class was great. Matthew Vaughn directed that, if I'm not mistaken, correct? I think Matthew Vaughn directed that. I'm pretty sure. I think that was the first time I heard of Matthew Vaughn, was when he did First Class. Matthew Vaughn, his name just flies under the radar. It's so strange.
And then X-Men Apocalypse was after that. That one was not great.
No, that was bad. That was really bad. Yeah,
and then Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn directed First Class.
Yeah. Either way, that should have been a priority for them. Now that you got rid of some of your old characters that people were so interested in, now you finally have your top tier teams, like these historic names within Marvel Comics, and you just decide not to fucking utilize them and focus on everything else.
Yep. Yellow Flash has First Class and then Days of Future Past, and stop at Logan. Ignore Dark Phoenix and the Apocalypse movie. Man, that Apocalypse movie was bad. And again, I'm someone that I like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine so much that he makes me enjoy bad movies. You know what I mean? Because he, like I said, X-Men
Origins,
not a good movie, but I enjoy it. But so I enjoyed just him as Wolverine in general. so I was able to overlook a lot of those bad movies. But yeah, some of them are really bad.
Well, I talked about this actually yesterday on stream, where one of the things I hated it felt like they were just kind of doing the same thing in all those X-Men movies where Magneto would, be an antagonist and be on the other side. Then for some reason they needed to fucking come together. And at the end, he'd be convinced to join with them for some sort of fucking purpose to defeat this enemy. And then Charles would be like, Eric, thank you. It's finally time for us, join us. We can do good things together. And he'd be like, no, I need to be on my own. I don't want to be a mutant or whatever. And he'd fucking leave. He'd have his fucking little happy family and he'd be out of it. And then the next movie, something would happen. His wife would die tragically or something would happen that pulls him fucking right back in. And he's on the opposite side of things. But then at the end, he does what they need him to do and does the right thing to join with them. And Charles is like, once again, Eric, I'm asking you. He's like, no, I need to go my own way. I just felt like I got tired of that shit after a while.
Yeah. I hear you on that. X-Men Origins X-Men Origins was awful. It says Yellow Flash 2. Talking about Wolverine? Go fuck yourself. It's the greatest movie ever made, Flash. I'm kidding. I know it's a bad movie.
Was the intention of that to start to do a bunch of X-Men Origin movies?
I think so. Because that movie was remember the whole movie leaked. Do you remember that? So the whole movie.
I remember you saw the non-CGI.
Yeah.
So the helicopter scene,
version and all of that.
All the wires.
So the whole movie leaked before it even came out. But again, I fully own the fact that X-Men Origins Wolverine is not a good movie. That I very much enjoy. I wish Snyder fans could admit the same for their Snyderverse movies. Terrible.
Alex Slusher for $1. Thank you. Brother Natural for 2. Thoughts on the rumor Wizard of Oz Souls-like game?
What? Sounds awesome.
Sounds dumb. I don't know what the fuck that is. Adam Juneman for 5. Best movies ever: Spaceballs and The Princess Bride.
It's good.
Good movies.
Good picks.
Taker for $5. When Ahsoka confronts Thrawn, he'll say, "Oh no, a woman, my only weakness. How did you know? I surrender. I'm going back to my mommy on the Star Cruiser." Might as well. Default for $1.99. What do you guys think of Rekieta Ripa drama? I think it's gay, and I'm glad that those guys are working shit out. That's what I think.
Yep.
You're not gonna get
anything else on that. There'll be other channels that want to fan the flames, not this one.
Yeah. Good try though. Appreciate the effort.
Yeah, you're not gonna get us involved in that publicly.
Demogeni for 2. If MCU wanted to change, X Factor would be good. I don't know what, to me, I do think they have probably had to come to some sort of realization that things are not going well, that they need to change course. Some of the stuff we're hearing in terms of the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, that's starting to leak out some of their plot points for it. I don't think anyone wants Kang Dynasty. I think people are all asking the same question. You have all these fucking characters now from the X-Men and from Fantastic Four. You got characters like Doctor Doom that are now available to you, yet you're going all in on Kang, who wasn't very impressive and is his first real big appearance as Kang the Conqueror, gets defeated by Ant-Man. So what kind of threat is Kang going to be? Blah, 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 all this bullshit. I don't know. I think people would love it if they just stopped right now and were like, hey, all this shit we're having development, fuck it. Let's reset. Let's do a reset of this universe and start off on the right foot. People would love if they did that. People aren't invested in this bullshit anymore.
Nope. Marvel has 80 years of material, says Virtual Reality Fitness.
They do. And they decided that they wanted to focus on all of the failed woke characters from the 2010s, from all new, all different Marvel. Those are the characters they've wanted to set up. When you look at when you look at what they did with the Hawkeye series, when you look at Miss Marvel, when you look at the Ironheart upcoming series, that's what they decided they want to focus on.
Mm-hmm. The Real Smile Bit for 50. I thought I read somewhere that X-Men Origins Wolverine was made so Fox could retain rights to X-Men, as they had to have something in the production or would lose the rights, like they did with Daredevil before it was bought by Disney. I think there's probably a lot of meat on that bone for sure. I don't know specifically, but that sounds about right because a lot of these. So whenever these studios get these rights to these films or these characters, they have to make they have to make a movie within a certain time frame, or the rights automatically revert back to the original owner. So that actually sounds right. And I'm sure that they've done that. They've done that with a lot of these movies. They've done it with a lot of these movies. But
I feel like I don't know if I'd have to look at the timeline because X-Men Origins Wolverine came out in what, like 2000, like I don't know, 11 or something. First Class couldn't have been that much longer after that.
But I do think like with X-Men Origins Wolverine, like there was the idea that you did have like Hugh Jackman in the prime, you know what I mean? So like it would be almost idiotic to not make a solo Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman. So I don't know though. That might be the case, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like X-Men The Last Stand came out in 2006. X-Men First Class came out in 2011. Origins Wolverine came out in 2009. I would just be surprised if there was some rights thing that expired after 3 years of not, like you're talking about 10 years or something like that. I could imagine those things happening, but 3 years with already a movie that was coming out 5 years. I don't know what the rights would be in terms of that, but
yeah.
I'm just bullshitting too. Just what I'm looking at. Wolfsbane, member for 2 months, says, although it was bad, Apocalypse had one of the best Magneto moments in X-Men movie history. When his wife and daughter died, I was right there with him. Again, he was just living his life, just wanted to escape, just wanted to be normal. And his wife and daughter died, and it brought him back into the fight.
Disco Cobra for 50. One movie I've always loved that many tend to hate is Mission Impossible 2. I'm right there with everyone else in hating that movie. I don't know what it is about that movie. Love the cheesy over-the-top action, opening scene with Tom Cruise, mountain climbing. Plus, you can't forget the Limp Bizkit version of the theme. Yeah, I am not a fan of Mission Impossible 2. It's pretty much the only Mission Impossible I don't like. And I wanted to like it. Like I went into it really, really hyped because I enjoyed the first Tom Cruise. This one looked really super action packed. Who was it that directed it?
John Woo.
John Woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't. But I'm glad you do, Disco Cobra, because again, I'm the guy that likes X-Men Origins Wolverine. There's not many people here that's going to agree with me. What did you think of X2 or Mission Impossible 2?
It's such a departure from the original. Like, not that there wasn't action or anything, but and there has obviously been a lot of action in subsequent Mission Impossible movies. It was just so over the top and clearly it was a movie that was made in a certain time frame, right? With the music, with all the slow-mo stuff, it just didn't feel right based on what we've seen in Mission Impossible 1. I felt like 3 was actually a good balancing point between those first two, having enough action sequences as well as still these tension-building moments and kind of finding a balance between what they did in 1 and what they did in 2 and developing what they thought the template should be going forward. J.J. Abrams' movie, by the way, Mission Impossible 3. Mm-hmm. And then after that, that was the one where they found their footing, they found the balance, and after that, it's just been really good. It sucks that Mission Impossible 7 did not do very well at the box office.
I know, man. So disappointing. So disappointing. But it is what it is.
Pepe Payne for $2 over on Rumble. Been a while. This is like rights via laws. Once they're infringed on, they rarely come back. Same with entertainment. Once they take all the joy and lore, they won't give it back. Support indies. Thank you, Pepe. Appreciate it. Let's see. Taker for 5. I think the AI villain thing is what killed Mission Impossible 7. It's just not interesting in my opinion. They went in the wrong direction. The creator did it too. I haven't watched The Creator yet. I still want to go see it, but did not do super weekend.
I don't think it looks good at all.
MCU fan, member for 3 months, says bigots. Thank you. Linko Kenobi for 10. Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, things with the comic book movies and Star Wars has not been great. I have a bad feeling. What's going to happen with the final episode of Ahsoka? Anyway, see you tonight in Mario Kart.
Hell yeah. Yeah, what is the anticipation that's going to happen on Ahsoka, Ryan?
Thrawn's going to come back to the galaxy. I don't fucking know other than that. Like, I really don't. I have no idea, but I think Thrawn's going to come back. Somebody, maybe we'll figure out what the fuck Balin's doing out there. I don't know. Will our heroes get stranded and leave that for season 2? Or will they be able to sneak aboard some way and hitch a ride back to the galaxy? Will they fucking call the Purgles? I don't fucking know. I don't think you're going to see some big cameo at the end. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's a fairly short episode. I think maybe like 40 minutes or something. So it's not like it's going to be super long. I don't know. This season's just kind of a big waste of time. But I don't know. If anybody has any ideas of what they think are going to happen, put it in the chat. I think we're going to see Thrawn either get back to the new galaxy or take off into space. And the heroes are going to be left with the realization that they failed. And whether they're able to follow them back or not, I don't know.
I'm glad I'm not watching. I'm glad I'm not watching.
Where is this? Brother Natural for 5. The studio behind the Pinocchio Souls game are planning on creating a folk tale universe, which will include The Wizard of Oz as a direct sequel.
I have to look into that. Maybe we'll talk about that on Tuesday night's main event.
Sounds interesting for sure. I don't know. Stephen Jordan. Have you seen The Creator? People who love the new Star Wars crap say, how can you like this movie? Your thoughts. Anyway, love the show. Keep it up. I haven't watched it yet. I planned on watching it this weekend. I just didn't get around to it. So I'll probably try to at some point in the next week. And then I'll let you know.
I'm not interested at all.
I'm interested.
Not interested at all. You should watch One Piece, Ryan.
I'll work on it.
I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that you should watch One Piece because it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. Other than that, I think we're all caught up.
We all caught up. Well, there we go. Another Geeks Gamers Daily in the books. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to Mario Kart. Got a lot of Cobra Cast. Got a lot to talk about on Cobra Cast tonight, so that's going to be fun. Don't forget Wednesday. I am flip-flopping the gaming stream and Cobra Cast. So the Cobra Cast is going to start earlier, and the gaming stream will be the later stream. I got feedback from the people. People wanted that. So the gaming stream will be the late stream. Cobra Cast will be the earlier stream on Wednesday. That's every week from here on out. And that way we don't have to do like a quick bounce on the gaming stream anymore. Because sometimes I feel like we're rushed on that. Because gaming streams tend to go a little bit longer. And so we're going to be changing that up so that we can have a little more time. And it will be Titanfall 2 this week. And yeah, so looking forward to Tuesday night's main event. We're going to talk more about games. Ryan, what do you got going on?
Nothing. Just making videos, I guess.
A lot of positivity from Ryan there. We got Enoch Maman. If they used a 90s X-Men lineup, the animated series plus Psylocke, they could have every group represented. Well, see, this is the big problem with that I've talked. Psylocke could even be a trans allegory. She's a Brit trapped in an Asian's body. They'll just swap the white men instead. This is the problem. Or I've talked about this with X-Men, especially if you look at the X-Men animated series, which is one of the greatest animated series ever. It's got everything. It's got everything that the weirdos on the left claim that they love and want. It's got all the representation you could ask for. But the problem is it doesn't have the victim mentality around the representation. Because that's what they truly need. They need the victim mentality around it. And so that's why you're never going to see them realize X-Men for what it is. Because it's not really what they want. They don't want diversity. They want victim mentality. That's what they truly want. But yeah, if you have not, again, I don't know how anybody here hasn't, but if you haven't, watch the X-Men animated series from back in the day because it is phenomenal. It is peak cartoons. Peak. That is to me.
Are you interested in X-Men 97?
No, not a fucking bit. Not a fucking bit. Not even remotely close. And it's just another thing they're going to ruin. I won't be watching X-Men and 97. Won't do it.
Weird Man Productions for 5 said originally Cruise wanted all Mission Impossible movies to have different directors to have different looks. John Woo was on fire at the time. He was. And that movie did well financially, to be honest with you. I believe it did. I guess I'd have to look at its budget. But yeah, and then he may have originally wanted that. Well, now the last 4 have been directed by Chris McQuarrie, and I think that's been a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I do think that there's something. I think there's something to that. There's something to having a different director come in and have a different vibe and a different feel. But you know, it just again, and it has worked for every Mission Impossible from up to that point. Like 2 is the only one. The first one, who directed the first one?
I'm looking up.
I don't even remember who directed the first one. And then obviously JJ came in. JJ came in for the third one. John Woo was the second one. And then JJ's kind of like Bad Robot was involved with the next 3 or 4 after he directed it.
That's like the production company.
Yeah. I don't know who directed the first one. It's a good question.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Who directed first Mission Impossible?
Nobody in the chat said anything yet either, which is shocking. So maybe it's a mystery. No, maybe
Brian De Palma.
Oh, there we go.
Right. Brian De Palma. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Brad Bird did 4. That's right. Hollywood Scholar. Brad Bird did 4. And then has it been Chris McQuarrie after that?
Chris McQuarrie did Rogue Nation, Rogue Nation, Fallout 7 and 8.
What's Brad Bird been doing the last 5 or 6 years? I haven't heard much about him. He was a mega hot director because he was doing the Pixar movies. Then he did Mission Impossible. What's Brad Bird been up to? I haven't heard that name in a long time, actually. Like in terms of any properties, he's been like any major properties. Maybe it's flown under the radar for me. I'm not sure.
Last thing I can see is Incredibles 2.
I didn't hate The Incredibles 2. I didn't love it.
There was a lot of hype for it, man.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. I'll tell you what did suck. Toy Story 4 sucked. God damn, man. The more I thought about it, the more I sat with that, the more I've seen it one time. And after I watched it, I was like, okay, it was fine. I fucking hate Toy Story 4, man. I hate it. The more I thought about it. Nerdrotic hated The Incredibles 2. I didn't hate it. I need to watch it again, but I didn't hate it. It's definitely nowhere near the greatness of the first Incredibles, though.
Fictitious Dave Savage for 2 months says the new X-Men movie will revolve around who bangs Jean Grey next between Wolverine and Cyclops, with Jean forcing them to bang instead.
All right, we're going to end it there. We got Mario Kart tonight. Hope you guys tune into Mario Kart. I heard a rumor Ryan won't be there.
Hey,
I don't know.
That's actually a rumor that's accurate, unlike the one about them retconning the sequels. That's a real rumor right there.
But thank you guys so much. Again, shout out to you, Gremlin. Sorry for your loss, brother. Appreciate you sharing that with us. And, we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you tonight for Mario Kart. And we appreciate all the support. So you guys have a great day. And we will talk to all of you later. Bye, everyone.